So welcome back. We're going to talk about test one, and this is actually the mannequin that we'll be using, Johan. He is very handsome. Look at those blue eyes and awesome facial hair. Johan in this case comes this light. This is actually the color that he comes. It's beautiful, like bleached out. So it saves the student having to do that work. In the competition this year, we have asked for 50% of the hair to be colored. In this circumstance, this is not 50% of the hair colored. I just want to be clear on why that would be. So none of this hair has been colored through here, and this has been foiled, or whatever technique was used to color part of the hair. If you were looking for 50%, all of this hair would have to be colored on the top to qualify for the 50. Now, any coloring technique can be used on the top, so there could be a wide variety of colors integrated and put into this haircut if this was the cut that the student had chose. But this whole area would have to be colored. On this one, when we're looking at color, this is considered to be 100% color. So it's different colors put in at different stages, so that this person has chose to go in with a warm root.
And I believe this one, it was a base color of 5 or 6, and that's why the bottom is colored as well.
Yeah, so when we're looking for, if they ask you for a base color, they're telling you basically that the entire head would have to have changed color because the base is darker than what Johan came. So in this particular mannequin, you can see there's a base, there's a dark root, and then there's a fade out to the different colors that this person used. So again, we would be looking, so possibly this one could have had a request for a hard part. You can see a beautiful hard part in there. It's not something where you have to look, you don't have to anticipate whether it was there, it's just simply there. So the judges can't move the hair around to try to find the element that you're looking for. So it has to be plain and visible. If there's something that happened over here and it's an undercut, if the judge can't see where the undercut happened, they can't lift this up to look. It has to be plain and visible. So it's something that we really need to make sure that the students understand. You can see the density in these mannequins. They have a lot of hair and they show fades beautifully. So the students really need to work hard on making sure that they have really good coverage. If they're practicing on a mannequin that isn't the same quality as this, it's going to be difficult for them once they come to this mannequin to understand the density of hair that they're going to be dealing with. So they need to work within the scope of what they're given for requests, and know that if there's a mistake made, again, judges cannot go wandering through the haircut looking. They just simply get to look at what they're presented. So you want to be presenting your very, very best work. We've also talked a little bit about staining that can happen. And I just want to point out, when I look at these mannequins, one of the things that we look for is staining. And you can see how beautifully clean this mannequin's color was applied and that there was no staining. There's a slight miss of color right here, and that would be noted when they're getting judged. So that's ever so slight right there, but it's still noticeable. So the student was really, really careful when she went around here. On this mannequin, this student chose not to color at the base. That was fairly smart and strategic of this particular student, because they risk no color staining around the face. However, having said that, depending on what the look was or what the parameters were, if you're told that you have to go in with a depth, then you have to go in with a depth. Okay, moving on to test 2. Test 2 will be a long hair up style. And so we don't know what the occasion is going to be. And the mannequins that we just happen to have today are bridal, ones that we're into a bridal theme. And so these are from some of our really talented students. So I'm in no way critiquing what's going on with these students' work. We're just using these as examples of what we would be looking for. So this would be an unclean finish right here. So this is something that when they're judging finish, you don't want to see any of the back combing. Right here, the way this has all been laid over is just perfect. This is beautiful work in here because you can't see any of the underlying back combing. It's really flawless. Again, looking at very strategically placed ornamentation that very flattering. So if the student was given, this has a lot of ornamentation in it, and actually that was probably something that they were working on that day. But if this was the ornamentation that was given, then we expect that that ornamentation that the student or the competitor uses really does suit the style. And you can see how wonderfully this was placed. This wasn't put here to hide a transition. This is actually put here because it's what looks the best here. So we'll maybe move on to this one. And again, like this would be an example of a pancaked braid, perhaps. So this is, if this was one of the wishes and the student had incorporated this would be great. Again, we've got a lot of ornamentation going on in here because that's the unit that they were working on at the time. But you can see how if one of the requests were a braid, that they could incorporate this. This is also a very sturdy style, and while I did say, you know, watch out for your sweeps, you can see that these are very sturdy. I can shake this mannequin and this isn't going anywhere. Oh, that ornament is, but that's not her fault, that's mine. Okay. And we'll just take a look at this one. And this is an excellent one to show you, because this actually was ornamentation that we did incorporate in the 1 year. So this was ornamentation that was given to the student to put into a bridal style. So if the request, for example, was a low bun with a side pancaked braid with this ornamentation and and there was a wave as well. You can see this wave in here. So if this student was asked to do this, and we'll say that the special occasion was perhaps this person was a bride or going to prom, this would be very suitable. And you can see if they ask for a low messy bun especially, this is just absolutely bang on. So again, it's good, solid, beautiful work. It's been sitting here for a little bit, so it's got some dust on it. It's got some flyaways that weren't there at competition time. So if we were critiquing it today, of course, we would be saying, oh, this is too flyaway and this is too, but again, it's been sitting here for a little bit, so I don't think we should be too harsh.
And take note of balance too. Like even though there's fullness on this side, the fluffiness of the braid on that side kind of gives it the balance from the front side and back.
And so if we were to push this really flat, it looks a little bit unbalanced. And you can see, same if you had a lot of volume here, it's a little bit unbalanced. But nice creative work. Okay, we'll move on to the ladies cut and color. We have a lot of examples here. And so first thing we're going to talk about is color and color placement. So this color and color placement is, again, very unique, but this is completely out of category for what we're looking for now. And this color is not out of category here. This is beautiful champagne color, and we'll see this a lot in a salon. What we won't see anymore is the scalloping like this. We wouldn't see this particular green with yellow with this. It's a lot of things that are going on. It's beautiful competition work, but for the type of category that we're in now, this would be out of category. Steps again in here that were cut. It's beautiful. It shows a great deal of color, but it would be completely out of category and would unfortunately be disqualified in competition.
Under the new ruling.
Yes. We'll go on with this one. First thing I would like to show you is that there's some staining here that happened on the forehead. And if this mannequin were to be demonstrated by the competitor without that staining showing, they wouldn't be demerited for it. However, if it was displayed and there was some staining showing, which you can clearly see now from this side, then she would be in fact demerited. This color is in category if this was the color palette that was chosen. While the finishing may be very weak on this one, I would say that she would lose some points on her finish. But the color is very good. And the cut, when you're looking at it, you'd be looking from all angles. And so when you're looking for this line and this little bit of undercut, it's very, very, very well done in here. This finish on this mannequin is really lacking. And so that's part of the problem if this was combed in and finished better.
And this mannequin was one from a national competition from another province.
Yeah, it's beautiful work, but we just wanted to show that to you, showcase that. This mannequin, again, there's nothing wrong with these colors right here. This is very, very nice work. What takes it out of category is this piece and this piece. So it's got a very harsh line, and it's okay to have harsh lines. We know that we see those in the salons, but to have this extra piece is what we would actually consider it to be out of category. In this particular one of the wishes was for an intentional frizz texture to be put in, and that's fine. But again, with this big piece just kind of being here, takes it out of category. This is beautiful work back in here. If you just looked at this mannequin from behind and looked in this area, this is great.
Yeah,
There's
so
nothing
under
wrong
new rules, you would not want those side panels.
No,
Okay,
absolutely not.
so
Those would have to come out.
yeah, so with the orange piece down, that's the old, orange piece gone, that's the new.
And so this one, again, has some extreme color in it, but the color is well blended and within the same color palette. So it would actually be in category, especially if what was asked was for an undercut tattoo. There's really nothing in this that would take it out of category. It's extreme on its, again, it's a very solid line, but it's followed by a very solid line, and then it's got some softness to it. And this would still stay in category.
Yeah, it's still commercial. That would be like your White Ave client.
This, again, it's very commercial. The finishing on this isn't done for a competition. This is actually just been a training mannequin, but we just kind of wanted to show you that, again, this is good training. This is a good start to, if you were working with a student, to start showing them how these blended lines, softer lines, taking a look at balance, trying to get them to recognize the balance between the two sides. Even though this is heavier and this is a bit lighter, that they're still coming in and they're not trying to, if they're trying to create a difference in length, that it actually has to be intentional and very visible. This is beautifully done as far as training mannequin goes. And just a blending out of color, just showing them again how to blend that root out. That would be a good start.
Oh, here's out of category.
Okay, so when we look at this one, again, we've got some really good things happening here. This is a great color. This is nice into that gray, little bit of blue mixed in with that gray. That just kind of highlights it a bit. As we start to move over though, we can see that parts exactly parts are in category, parts are out of category, which would make it out of category. First off, we do have this staining in here, which is going to get a demerit, but this piece and panel in here of the blue that has been shaved would take this out of category immediately. The other thing is the extreme between here and here is so extreme that it would probably take it out of category. This would be hotly contested and there would be a debate.
Yeah,
But
if
at the
both
end of the
sides were
day-
this length or this length together, then it would be in category. But because there's two extremes, it would probably now, under the new rules, take it out.
Even if this was a little bit longer,
Yeah,
and
like chin length.
because this is
yeah.
so soft and this is so harsh, it's just too many things going on here that would take it out of category.
Because yes,
we
keep in
wouldn't do
mind,
this.
asymmetrical is still a viable style in a salon,
Absolutely.
but we just don't want to push it too far under the new rules.
There'd be some things here that we would question about whether or not we wouldn't do this in a salon. I know I would never do this on a client. I wouldn't see this, and even if I did see it, and
But the
somebody
color
could
combo,
argue-
totally.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
actually, this color combo goes right in line with the cat inspiration photo. It's got the blue, it's got the hint of purple, it's got the gray.
And when we're talking about the blue, we're not talking about this.
No,
We're
the
talking
bottom
about-
blue.
There's a slight undertone here with some of the blue that really adds in, and it's just gorgeous. This color's great. The cut takes it out of category, unfortunately. Like we did this one. Maybe, maybe not. Again, this is a training mannequin, so the finish isn't there. So we will talk about it though, because you do tend to see things like this sometimes in competition where the student has tried to obtain some texture and that's fine, but the finish isn't there. This still needs to have some shine to it. This needs to have been finished neater than this. And while it's great to have this texture needs to be clean and purposeful. This needs to be much better executed. However, what is really great about this is that you can see this asymmetrical. Now, balance, as far as balance goes, we tend to see our heavy side as being our longer side and this as being our shorter side. But this is a bit of a creative interpretation, and it still falls in category. Even though we may not aesthetically go with this design, it's still well executed and within category. And really that's the thing that we want to continually talk to you about, is keeping in category. So this fade is really, really well done, and it's in keeping with a color palette that's synonymous with what we're looking for. And then this haircut. So this mannequin hasn't been colored, but there's the very textured cut in here. This is a fantastic cut, very, very, very well done, and a lot of what we're seeing right now. So depending on how the student would style this, I would say this is very typical of what we may ask for, is something like this, where you see some height in a crown, maybe some heavier front. Again, a good blend to the back, some styling. How's this gonna blend in? How are you gonna mix your colors in with this? But this is a great color. You can see there's a lot of texture been added to this mannequin. So again, just fantastic work in there. And then we have a really good example here of our chemical texturizing client. So our curl formation, this is exactly what we're gonna probably be seeing in our photo. We may have questions about the size of rod, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, you do not need to pack your blue or your yellow rods. That's not going to be what we see here. We're going to probably be seeing anything from a gray up. So I would pack your gray, your white, your large mauve, and then there's other perming tools that are all optional for you as well. So, I mean, I just think when we're looking at the size of curl, that this is very indicative of what we see right now. So don't pack anything below a gray size rod. You just won't need it. There's no way we would give you something that's tighter than that. Okay.
Okay, so that is just a little bit of a synopsis of what we may be looking for. Okay, none of these are your hard yes and no's. They're just examples of mannequins that have been in past competitions to give you guys a better understanding of what the new rules are versus the old rules. So as you can see from what we described, way more commercial, more natural, more wearable in everyday life. So hopefully this was informative. Thank you, Tracy, for coming out today to do this video with me. And like we said, if you have any questions, please feel free to email anybody on the committee list on the back of the scope.
And if you're kind of secretive about the work that you're doing, I understand that. We've all trained before. If you have work that you're doing with a student and you're secretive about it, as I've said before, I am not training any students, and I'm not looking at other student work. If you want to send me your student work, I will respond to you and to you only, and I will give you the best guidance that I can as to where you're at. But I don't share work with anybody else. I just keep that confidential. So if there's something that you're asking questions about, feel free to shoot me a call. And Skills will absolutely put you in touch with me. But if you need to get in touch with me, I'm going to just go ahead and give you my cell number. Don't phone me at 3 in the morning, please. 403-872-8056. And I'm happy to answer your calls.